I listened to the entire Fisker Q2 earnings call on August 6th, and today I'm going to use that to answer the following questions. Why has Fisker delivered so few Oceans, and when are the rest coming? I'll break down deliveries, homologation, future products, software, as well as all the other data that was available from the presentation. Let's get straight into it. Remember, these are not excuses or defenses or a big, well, what had happened was. It's just my take on reality with empirical data from that presentation to back it up. Fisker is a startup. They need investment to make it to profitability. The losses will be big and continuous until manufacturing for the Ocean can be tooled. And then the Ocean needs to complete its development, be manufactured, shipped, financed by customers, and inevitably delivered. In order to get the investment that Fisker needs, they need to generate excitement. Large investors need to know that funding secures materials, labor, products, and logistics for the company. And retail investors need a constant stream of good news to maintain confidence. And that's what Fisker has published and presented. Most sustainable, longest range, most exciting, the 4 features rule, etc.
At Fisker, have to have 4 features.
And now it's time to deliver. But the facts are much harder to digest than the good news. That's why we have earnings calls. The music must be faced. And here are the facts. Fisker has enough money to make it through 2023. Currently $522 million in cash and equivalents, with approximately a $90 million loss per quarter, give or take. Magna has 2 annual shutdowns, one of which is going on now, and will continue through August 15th. There will be another for the holidays. Fisker has 876 vehicles to deliver from the end of July, 60 of which were already delivered in June. As of August 6th, 120 Oceans have been delivered in total. Fisker is currently supply constrained based on this earnings call. There is one supplier, which was not explicitly named, brought up several times, that is allegedly holding Fisker's production back. Here's a direct quote from Dr. Geeta Gupta-Fisker. Quote, "Supplier partners will be able to eventually meet capacity requirements by next year." End quote. The current shutdown time at Magna is being used to bank parts, so supply is less constrained on August 15th when production of the Ocean resumes. As far as this one supplier, their factory will start a second shift and go to a third shift if necessary to meet demand for the upcoming Ocean ramp. Magna does not directly supply all of the parts for the Ocean. Speaking of Magna, the daily run rate seems to be the big focus for Fisker, as it was also highlighted many times during the earnings call. The max daily run rate in July before the shutdown, which, remember, was planned and not based on some problem or production issue, got to 140 units per day. Plug that number in and assume perfection for the remainder of 2023, and you're looking at around 20 to 23,000 Ocean units total for 2023, which happens to be the new guidance straight from Fisker. Magna can produce 70,000 units of the Ocean per year for Fisker with the current agreement in place. There was also a big focus on future products. Let's start with the Pair. A lot of viewers have commented that they will wait for the Pair over the Ocean in order to receive that tax credit, and obviously the Pair has that lower price. Right now, the Pair production is planned to start in mid-2025, and also as of right now, Fisker does not have an agreement in place to build it. They are negotiating, obviously, with Foxconn, but there is no completed agreement. I believe this is because Fisker wants Foxconn to build the Ocean and the Alaska as well as the Pair in the US, and like Henrik Fisker mentioned on the earnings call, in order to have a manufacturing partner do all the building of the vehicles, that means all of the negotiating must be done for said manufacturing before the agreement is completed. Is this bad news for the Pair? Time will tell, but Henrik Fisker also mentioned that Fisker expects to announce the manufacturing of upcoming US-made vehicles in the next 3 months. Once the vehicles are made, they've got to be approved. So let's talk about homologation. Canada and India homologation is currently in process for the Ocean Extreme, which is probably a big reason why Canada seems to have no news yet, because there isn't any. It hasn't completed government approval. There will be 100 limited edition Fisker Oceans delivered to India in Q4 of 2023, which, based on Fisker's current timelines, will be after all of the Ocean 1 models are delivered, which is only right. The Ultra and Sport models are also going through the homologation process. The process for the Ultra was described as, quote, relatively streamlined because it shares a powertrain with the Extreme. However, like we all all know, the Sport was described as having a different powertrain and battery, so obviously a complete analysis must be done. Regardless, the Ultra and Sport are expected to be certified in Europe and the US in Q3. There were definitely mentions of software in the earnings call as well. This script was iterated twice, once during the remarks portion of the presentation and during the questions portion as well. Quote, "We have equipped the initial Oceans with essential features. We are currently working to finalize the integration of new features and packages, such as integrated drive assist and auto high beam, which we can push out via over-the-air release as our vehicles are fully connected. We are ready to launch our over-the-air update to our customers that will support enhanced connectivity." End quote. Dr. Geeta Gupta seemed to shrug off the slow software when a question came up during the questions portion of the presentation, and I think I was accurate in a previous video because the Fisker Chief Technology Officer did admit during this call that over-the-air updates have not been completed yet and are not ready to go out yet. Also, the Fisker Blade was mentioned as a hardware solution that, quote, "supports modular upgradable single box compute and communications within the vehicle," end quote. And that's all as far as software and hardware. Now let's get to you. Deliveries. Right now, deliveries are taking place in 4 countries and 5 US states. That's right, only 5 states. A US delivery timeline was also described by Dr. Geeta Gupta Fisker. When a vehicle is provided to Fisker from Magna, it needs to go on a ship, which takes 10 to 12 days to reach the eastern United States. Then it must move to its delivery location. Once it reaches its delivery location, which can take an additional several days, there's also a 7-day process in which financing must be completed. So if we see this in Baltimore, it could be a couple weeks at least before those units start to be delivered. And we shouldn't have confidence that those vehicles are for the eastern United States either, because that's where all of the Oceans show up, from Austria. As far as locations, Fisker currently has open customer locations in Austria, Denmark, Germany, Norway, Sweden, and the UK. The construction at the Grove in Los Angeles has been completed. There will be a final inspection next Monday, and once that's completed, Fisker will open the Los Angeles location. The next locations to be opened will be in France, Arizona, Maryland, New York, and Tennessee. Test drives are currently taking place, and invitations for those Fisker Ocean One customers who have not received their vehicles yet will be invited next. After that, Fisker will move on to deposit holders and then eventually to new customers in North America and Europe. Finally, at the very end of the call, there was a question about the NACS connector. Dr. Geeta Gupta Fisker responded, quote, "From our standpoint, we have a fully drawn up agreement. Fisker has signed the NACS agreement. We're just waiting for a signature from Tesla," end quote. I don't want to speculate here, but I will. It sounds like no negotiation has taken place between Fisker and Tesla, and Fisker is now open to negotiation regarding the NACS charging standard. The NACS adoption is not a simple document that you sign, however. RJ Scaringe said this about NACS yesterday, quote, "So it's a charging relationship whereby our customers will access the network and ultimately pay for the charging, and that will flow from us through to Tesla," end quote. This was in response to a question about customer data and whether or not it would be transferred. RJ Scaringe was clarifying there is no data transfer built into the relationship. Notice that word, relationship. That sounds like a negotiated agreement, not a simple standardization with a signature. Remember, NACS is not a standard yet, even though SAE is working to get it to be one, and the Biden-Harris administration is moving forward with support. Until it is, Fisker would need to come up with a set of terms that both Tesla and Fisker agree to. Payment method, payment processing, data sharing, like RJ mentioned, which app will access it, adapters, etc. I'm optimistic that Fisker signed an agreement. However, I'm skeptical that that will result in NACS being adopted by Fisker in Q3 of 2023. So, do the details from the earnings call increase or subtract from your confidence in Fisker? Let me know down in the comments. My reaction to some recent Ocean reviews is right here. Take a peek at the new Fisker products right here. And YouTube thinks you should watch this one. Subscribe for more. See you next time.
Hey, smash the like button.
Thank you.